After starting off their event with a moment of silence for the Orlando victims, Apple started with watchOS 3, which makes the apps launch instantly instead of taking all that time they used to take before. There's also now Control Center on Watch, which is great, and you can also reply to messages with smart replies, or you can use handwriting. There's new watch faces, and there's also the option to switch between faces by just swiping left and right. There's also now a dock on the watch, which basically lets you switch between apps quickly by pressing the button that's on the side of the watch that used to be used for seeing that Friends thing that they used to have. And there is also an SOS mode, which basically calls emergency services if you leave it without cancelling it, and it'll also alert your family members too. Wheelchair users will also see activity notifications that are more geared towards them. Moving into tvOS, all the features of the Apple remote are going to be moving into an iPhone app, which you're going to be able to use in pretty much the same ways you did the remote. You're also going to be able to search YouTube through Siri now, and you're going to be able to use a single sign-in instead of having to do it per app as you had to do before. There's also going to be a dark mode, and any apps that download on your iPhone are automatically going to be downloaded on the Apple TV. Moving on to OS X, Apple is now renaming macOS X to macOS, and it's going to bring some features such as auto unlock, which basically authenticates from your watch and unlocks your Mac for you. There's going to be a universal clipboard, where basically the clipboard's going to be copied from your phone over to your Mac. iCloud Drive is now going to sync your desktop and documents folder. There's going to be this thing where basically all of the files that you're not going to need, like caches, are going to be deleted without you having to do anything. And old stuff that you haven't used in ages are going to be moved up to the cloud, so you won't have to worry about them. There's also going to be Apple Pay on the web, which you authenticate through your iPhone, and there's going to be tabs for everything on the Mac without the developer having to do anything at all. There's also going to be picture-in-picture mode, which basically works in the same way as it does on the iPad. And there's also going to be Siri that's going to be coming to the Mac. And a great thing about Siri on the Mac is that when you get certain results, you can press the little plus button and it will add it to the notification center where you can see it later on. Moving on to iOS 10, they brought along a feature that fixes that infamous problem where basically Touch ID is too fast to bring you to the lock screen. So when you just raise your phone up, it actually wakes the device. You can also do 3D touch on notifications, which will help you to respond to messages you see to clear all notifications too. And now in Control Center, it's got a whole new design which looks a lot better, and you're also going to be able to swipe to the right to be able to see your music. And now if you swipe from the right, you get to your camera, and if you swipe from your left, you get to widgets. There's also now a much richer 3D touch. Now if you 3D touch on an app, it brings up big images, it brings up a lot of things that you might find useful from that app, but in a way that just looks a whole lot better. And you can also do stuff through Siri like offer location information and stuff like that in apps such as Messages. Now moving on to photos within iOS, you can see all of your photos in a map, which is a nice little feature. There's also facial recognition and object and scene recognition. So now when you go into the Photos app, you can see photos of particular people, of particular places, of particular topics, and all that will be in the Photos app. And it will show different things like the people that were in that memory, different maps, and what memories are basically just a collection of photos with a certain topic or time or place. And you can also do the same sort of Google Photo style videos from these. So basically it will take all of your photos from a certain memory together and make them into a nice little video. But what's different about this is you can do it based on a certain mood. So you can have like an excited mood, and you can have like an epic mood as they called it. And it will change the music basically based on what the mood is. And it will change the whole style of editing the video too. Moving on to Apple Maps, there's just basically a lot of catch up here. There's stuff like it will zoom out when the car is going faster and zoom in when you're going slower. You can swipe up from the bottom to see suggestions, and it's just basically a lot of catch up. And then moving on to music, I was actually really disappointed with music, to be honest. I really don't like how music looks at all now. It looked a lot better before, even though it didn't even look that good before. Basically, you can now see the lyrics, and there's just basically the whole new redesign, which whether you like it or whether you don't like it is really up to you, but yeah, I don't really like it. Moving on to Apple News, they cover this really quickly, but there's stuff like featured stories, there's stuff like topics and subscriptions, and the ability to see breaking news in notification. There's also going to be a new app called Home, which is all to do with home automation. You're going to be able to do stuff like switch off individual smart devices. You're going to be able to have these things called scenes, which basically changes a whole lot of smart devices at the same time to bring your whole house into a certain scene, such as opening all the blinds, locking all the doors, perhaps switching off all the lights, and doing stuff like that. There's also going to be voicemail transcription, and now the phone's going to tell you if a phone number's spam or not. And voice over IP calls can now be basically shown in the same way that regular phone calls are shown, as long as developers enable that in their own apps. Moving on to messages, there's a whole load of new things about messages. You'll be able to see rich links in messages now, and you'll be able to see a camera preview when going into camera, as well as opening up other images. But the main star of the show was the text itself and the messages themselves. So you have the option to send a message in a way that it does this sort of animation where it kind of comes up gently, or it kind of goes boom like on the screen for loud, or you can have it smash on the screen and stuff like that. Just stuff to kind of show emphasis in your text, kind of like what Google did in their event. And you're going to be able to do this thing called invisible ink, where you have to swipe your finger across someone else's message to see what it's saying. It's supposed to be used for like intimate things and all of that. And you're going to be able to do stuff like sketches, handwriting, you're going to be able to draw on pictures and do a whole load of that sort of stuff. Kind of Snapchat inspired, I think. And after the demo decided to stop working...
Boy, it looks like I may have smashed the demo for a moment.
We all found out that developers can also integrate their apps into messages. So you can do stuff like order stuff through the messages app. You can do stuff like order a taxi through it and all of that sort of stuff. Basically whatever the developers want you to do with it. So anyway, moving on, you can do split view in Safari on the iPad. Towards the end of the conference, they went on to something called Swift Playground, which I'm actually really happy about. And this is basically to teach kids how to code in Swift in a fun and interesting way. And it's for basic and advanced Swift. It will give them suggestions and just basically handhold them all the way through learning the Swift programming language. And this is something that I really like. I really like that stuff is taught in a way that's fun and interesting and not the whole kind of strict thing that kind of school does a lot of the time. But anyway, I'm rambling on. So I hope you all enjoyed this video and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.